यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तनम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण। I think it can be made bigger also, no? Can take it behind. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 26th chapter, 27th verse. The title of the chapter is Description of the Hellish Planets. Text 27. It's not in, it cannot be recited very easily, so I'll just recite it on my side. Yetvehya vai dassayo agnida garada graman sarthan va vilumpanti rajano rajbhata va tams chapihi paretya yamduta vajradamstra shwana saptashatani vimshatischa sarabhasham khadanti. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ye persons who, tu, but, iha, in this life, vai, indeed, dasyavaha, thieves and plunderers, agnidaha, who set fire, garada, who administer poison, graman, villages, sarthan, the mercantile class of men, va, or, vilumpanti, plunder, rajanaha, kings, raja bhataha, government officials, va, or, tan, them, cha, also, api, indeed, he, certainly, paretya, having died, yamdutaha, the assistants of Yamraj, vajradamstraha, having mighty teeth, shwanaha, dogs, saptashatani, 700, vimshati, 20, cha, and sarabhasam, voraciously, khadanti dever. Translation: in this world, some persons are professional plunderers who set fire to others' houses or administer poison to them. Also, members of the royalty or government officials sometimes plunder mercantile men by forcing them to pay income tax and by other methods. After death, such demons are put into the hell known as Sarameyadana. On that planet, there are 720 dogs with teeth as strong as thunderbolts. Under the orders of the agents of Yamraj, these dogs voraciously devour such sinful people. Purport: in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that in this age of Kali, everyone will be extremely disturbed by three kinds of tribulations: scarcity of rain, famine, and heavy taxation by the government. Because human beings are becoming more and more sinful, there will be scarcity of rain, and naturally no food grains will be produced. On the plea of relieving the suffering caused by the ensuing famine, the government will impose heavy taxes, especially on the wealthy mercantile community. In this verse, the members of such a government are described as dasyu, thieves. Their main activity will be to plunder the wealth of the people. Whether a highway robber or a government thief, such a man will be punished in his next life by being thrown into the hell known as Sarameyadana, where he will suffer greatly from the bites of ferocious dogs. Hare Krishna. So I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, online and offline, in order to speak something on this most exalted of all scriptures, Amal Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, following in the footsteps of the great souls, trying to repeat their wisdom in order to purify my heart and also please the Vaishnavas and the deities and receive their blessings to become somewhat a devotee. Hare Krishna. So this is a very beautiful, it's not so beautiful. Bhagavatam is beautiful. It is Srimad Bhagavatam. But sometimes it's not so. Today morning, one devotee came to me, Prabhuji, today I know there is hellish planet description, but I believe you will be speaking something on spiritual world. so devotees have some hope of getting some sweet things. So what I have prepared for is, we will be discussing the feelings of a Vaishnava when he hears the descriptions of the hellish planet, and the feelings of a Vaishnava when he hears about the situations of Kali Yuga. So these two things, feelings and practical dealings also, of course. So let's see. If time permits, we'll be able to cover two things. So how Vaishnavas should take. I'm just putting here in brief the 5 feelings which will be mentioned, but actually it will come through the discussion in the purports of Prabhupada. So he feels gratitude for being saved, because more we see these hellish planets and we understand that all these type of problems a jiva has to go through when he actually has done something wrong. Most of the Kali Yuga devotees, Kali Yuga Vasis have done one thing or the other, and thus somehow or the other we have been blessed by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada and the followers. So he feels greatly benedicted, somehow blessed to be saved from this whole mess, the cycle of birth and death and the suffering in the hellish planets. Also, he feels a healthy fear that I should not fall down again to the materialistic way of life. And he feels a sense of emergency, because Kali Yuga is going to go towards Ghor Kali Yuga also. So things will become hellish here only. So better I perfect my life in this very life. And then he takes with determination that I will never budge from the instructions of the Guru Parampara, and I will cross over this cycle of birth and death in this very lifetime. So etam sasthaya paratmanishtham. Compassion. And then when he's actually fixed in the mission of the Master, he also feels for the mission in terms of serving other conditioned souls by sharing the shelter that he has received. So I should save as many as possible. So we'll see this through certain sections. So this hellish planet description comes in the 5th canto, and now it's just going to end, and after this Ajamila section in the 6th canto will come. So we see there how Ajamila, when he actually witnessed the Yamdutas, what all reactions he is giving, and from that only these feelings are actually mentioned. So Ajamila Kand is just put up in short description, and I didn't have time to put it in the PPT. So he speaks in his repentance time he says, Ajamila continued, I am a shameless cheater who has killed his Brahmanical culture. Indeed, I am sin personified. Where am I in compassion to all the auspicious chanting of the holy name and of Lord Narayan? So Prabhupada writes a very important purport. Those engaged in broadcasting the holy name of Narayan, Krishna, through the Krishna consciousness movement should always consider what our position was before we came and what it is now. We had fallen into abominable lives as meat eaters, drunkards, and woman hunters who performed all kinds of sinful activities. But now we had been given the opportunity to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, we should always appreciate this opportunity. By the grace of the Lord, we are opening many branches, and we should use this good fortune to chant the holy name of the Lord and serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. We must be conscious of the difference between our present and past condition, and should always be very careful not to fall from the most exalted life. So the first feeling which was mentioned there was gratitude. Actually, I just made that into some kind of a easy to remember thing. If you see the other way, then it is C, D, E, F, G, so you can remember it easily. So gratitude is the first one. So the devotee can reminisce on his past in this way, that I was something which was so dreadful, and also what all I could have become. What I was, what I would have become, because if we had gone the same way, then many more problems we would have got into. And because of all that and what I was already, what I would have become in the next life. So by understanding his current position, Prabhupada is saying very beautifully that those engaged in broadcasting, so now he has become a preacher. So from Yamduta to Vishnu Duta, So like, of course, he would have not become Yamduta, he would have faced the Yamdutas, but now he has become a Vishnu Duta. He is a servant agent of Lord Vishnu. So it is actually the great fortune of the Jiva to somehow come across the association of Vaishnavas. And many of us did not even plan to actually take to Krishna consciousness ourselves. Someone just knocked at the door, please, come for the program. Here's some sweet rice prasadam. So His Grace Gaurang Prabhu says कि केले के छिलके पे फिसला सड़क पे और गिरा तो डायमंड शॉप के अंदर, और डायमंड शॉप ओनर का कोई बेटा नहीं था तो उसने अपने को बेटा बना लिया. So basically somehow or the other we got the fortune. He was telling that we may have ended up in the diamond shop, but now we have to pay the price for actually receiving the diamond. So the gratitude is a very important principle in the devotee's life, which actually makes everything else which I'm talking in the further feelings will come, because he knows that actually I have been saved. So there will be a lot of that gives the strength to following the instructions of the master. That also makes one fearful of not ever going back to the hellish planets, hellish life. Hellish planet will come later. So this is very important. And then the next purport Prabhupada further says, translation, I am such a sinful person, but since I have now gotten this opportunity, I must completely control my mind, life and senses, and always engage in devotion service, so that I may not fall again into the deep darkness and ignorance of material life. Every one of us should have this determination. We have been elevated to an exalted position by the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master, and if we remember that this is a great opportunity and pray to Krishna that we will not fall again, our lives will be successful. So here again, point of determination is also mentioned. So gratitude, fear, they are all like, you can just I will not mention which feeling connects where, but you can just connect whenever you want. Gratitude, fear, emergency of going back to Godhead, and the determination to follow the Master, and thus, after becoming fixed in the Master's orders, becoming compassionate for the other souls also. So, I was hearing one beautiful lecture by his guest Mohan Prabhu in Delhi once. Just in February I was there. So he was speaking from the Ajamila Kand, and there he brought out many stories of people who have faced Yamdutas, and it was he had many stories from devotee situations also. So I will quote some of them. So he told one story about one disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The story later I recently heard also. Then I thought it is from someone else. Then I tried to search the source of this story. So I will show you the source also, because devotees may feel little more, connected. So this is spoken in one of the lectures in Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in Sri Jagannath Puri in the Holy Disciplines Day of Sri Bhakti Daita Madhav Goswami Maharaj. So it describes something very amazing. So it will be worthy to. Oh. Just 1 minute. If I read through, you will get more ecstasy. Okay. So this is an incident in the 1930s. There was a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada who got initiated in 1933. He was from Guwahati, Assam, and he followed all the principles of devotion, chanted Harinam, and on the chanting beads. And then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur left in 1937, 1st January. After his disappearance, the disciple started to deteriorate in his devotional practices, and also even got engaged in non-devotional activities, anti-devotional activities like consuming meat. It was his downfall, and he even stopped chanting Harinam. By the laws of karma had some plan for him, and within a few years he fell sick and died. As per Hindu Indian tradition, the dead body is burnt in the cremation ground. Hence, the body of the person was also lying in the cremation ground within the wooded logs, which were supposed to be set to fire. So he is lying in the cremation, in the woods. And now suddenly the dead man came to life and started shouting his beloved Guru Maharaj's name, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. This is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Prabhupada. People present there were astonished to see this unnatural incident and started to Jai Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Shri Shri Gaunadai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. People present there were astonished to see this unnatural incident and started to flock away, thinking him to be a ghost. He went to his home immediately and told his family that he is renouncing from material life to serve Gurudev's words. So life after death had changed him completely. He shared his amazing experience of life after death. He shared his stories as follows. When he died, he saw two gigantic and horrifying figures, Yamdutas, who came and took him away from this world to another unknown world, Yampuri. On the way Yampuri, he felt thirsty because the way to Yampuri was deserted and with the scorching sun on his head. When he asked for water from Yamdutas, then they showed him a pond to quench the thirst. But when he went near the pond, he found it was full of vomit, blood and pus. That is the description in the Bhagavatam if you read. On complaining to them that how could he ever drink such filthy things, they replied that he can get only vomit to drink on his way to Yampuri and nothing else, but due to his past karma. Feeling depressed, he moved on with them to Yampuri. After reaching Yampuri, he was made to stand in a queue where Chitragupta, the assistant of Yamraj, was opening the accounts of karma for all standing in the queue. He was horrified to see that every other person standing in before him were immediately sent to hell by Chitragupta upon seeing their accounts. At last, when it was his turn, he was sent to Yamraj as a special case. He was astonished. When he was brought to Yamraj, the Devta of death asked him if he had performed any good deed in his life ever, which he could recollect. He answered, he got initiated by Srila Prabhupada. Upon hearing Srila Prabhupada's name, Yamraj closed his eyes and remembered Srila Prabhupada. And the most amazing thing is that Srila Prabhupada appeared in Yampuri, even for such a disciple who had betrayed him by not following his instruction. Yamraj asked Srila Prabhupada for the next course of action to be taken for his disciple. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur ki Jai. Before answering to Yamaraj, Srila Prabhupada directly chastised his disciple for ignoring Harinam and getting involved with anti-devotional activities of consuming restricted things. Upon hearing Srila Prabhupada's chastisement, he asked for forgiveness. His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada showed to his disciple upon asking forgiveness, showed mercy to his disciple upon asking forgiveness, and ordered him to go back to earth and again accept Harinam from his beloved disciple, Srila Bhakti Daita Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ji in Kolkata. As soon as Srila Prabhupada asked to take reinitiation, he came and he didn't remember what happened after that, and he got up in cremation ground shouting, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. After that, he renounced his worldly life and immediately went to Calcutta to Srila Bhakti Daita Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ji for accepting Harinam from him. When he went into the room where Maharaj Ji was present and started to narrate his story of life after death, Maharaj Ji stopped him from narration, saying that he was already aware of what had happened and gave him Harinam Mala to chant. He stayed in the mutt after that and kept chanting Harinam for 8 years and until he left the world again. We have seen so many insurance policies in this world, but such an insurance policy of saving a fallen soul from hell is not possible to anyone to provide. This incident proves the eternity of Guru's relationship with his disciple and his boundless mercy upon his disciple. Does this story ring a bell in our life of what we are supposed to be doing in contrast to what our engagements are in daily life? Guru can show the path in mercy, but a disciple has to follow his instruction to chant Harinam and stay away from anti-devotion activities to save himself or herself from hell. This is February 2018, 15 Feb 2018 something. Okay, so one story like this. So this he told, Mohanrupu told this story. So I got this reference. One time Srila Prabhupada. So this story, it clearly shows that actually the spiritual master intervenes into our life and makes us a different, that intervention puts us in a different box for all the other people in this world. Yamaraj takes us in a different way. But we have to follow the order of the master. In all initiation programs, there are certain vows that the disciple takes. So there has to be a bona fide guru and a bona fide disciple. And a bona fide disciple has to sincerely follow the journey. So Srila Prabhupada was asked by one devotee that I have done so many sins in the past. So will I get to see Krishna in the end of life? Will I remember Krishna? He said, yeah, that is guaranteed. You will remember, Prabhupada said. But you have to do your duties properly. And then he said. So the point is, we have certain duties as a bona fide disciple if we wish to be. Then we can have that. And in the interest of time, I have cut some short stories. So one puppy was around Srila Prabhupada in the morning walk, always trying to touch his feet, and his Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj was with him. So Prabhupada said, he is one of my fallen disciples actually. So it is that the puppy is trying to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, the fallen disciple, but one should also know that the disciple, when he falls, then he actually can face such situations. So one has to always live by the instructions. Bhakti No Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this is in Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhav. One time they were in a village and they were wanting to stay overnight, so they saw one Haveli was empty. So the people said that, you should not stay here, there are a lot of ghosts here. He said, then we'll stay here only, And whole night both of the transcendental personalities chanted Harinam. And next day morning they said, now all the ghosts have been delivered, don't worry. Now it's empty Haveli. Haveli has been emptied. Now you can use it for, something. Panchayat can decide what to use for. And then they asked that, but sir, we don't understand. He was a pujari, he was chanting Harinam also, and he was worshipping deity also. How he became a ghost? So they said, no. Actually, he was keeping the money, the bhoga for himself to eat actually. So his chanting was he never chanted holy name. He never chanted holy name. So with what motivations, with what ulterior understanding a jiva enters into the bhakti program, and with what motivations he continues. So all this is counted. So the Jiva's responsibility is also there. He cannot say just because I am chanting holy name, everything will happen, in some way. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said he never chanted. So in the next purport comes the last compassion wala feeling, and this is also Ajamila. So first he talks that I will deliver myself, I shall disentangle myself from the material bondage. And then he says that being a most fallen soul, I was victimized by illusory energy, I have become a dancing dog led around by a woman's hand. Now I shall give up all lusty desire and free myself from this illusion. I shall become a merciful, well-wishing friend to all living entities and always absorb myself in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada writes a very important purport. This should be the standard of determination for all Krishna conscious persons. A Krishna conscious person should free himself from the clutches of Maya, and he should also be compassionate to all others suffering in those clutches. The activities of Krishna conscious movement are meant not only for persons, not only for oneself, but for others also. This is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. One who is interested in his own salvation is not as advanced in Krishna consciousness as one who feels compassion for others and who therefore propagate the Krishna conscious movement. Such an advanced devotee will never fall down, for Krishna will give him special protection. That is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. So Prabhupada was helping the conditioned souls in the Kali Yuga to come to Krishna consciousness, but he was not making them simply do their own self-purification. Self-purification also included the instruction of Srila Prabhupada to preach. So we should know that that is also part of our purification process that we preach. Like I am sitting on this Vyasasana, not qualified for it, but it is simply trying to fulfill the order of the masters, because that will help us to also purify our heart, and also Krishna will give special protection for that. And the other Vaishnavas will bless if we preach something we have done for their pleasure. So that way a devotee should actually look forward to see that he doesn't fall down from the exalted position one has received from the great masters. And he should also try to share the same shelter with others in the... And if we see the Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.1, when this whole hellish planet description has ended, even Parikshit himself asks a similar question. He says to Shukdev Goswami ji that please tell more on your Nivritti Marg which you had been telling, because he sees how much suffering is there in the hellish planet. So Prabhupada writes in that purport, since Maharaj Parikshit was a Vaishnava, when he heard the description at the end of 5th canto of the different hellish conditions of life, he was very much concerned with how to liberate the conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya and take them back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, he reminded his spiritual master Shukdev Goswami about the Nivritti Marg, or path of liberation, which he had described in the 2nd canto. Parikshit Maharaj was astonished that the living entities in the conditioned stage do not accept the path of liberation of devotional service instead of suffering in so many hellish conditions. This is the symptom of a Vaishnava. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. A Vaishnava is an ocean of mercy, para dukkha dukhi. He is unhappy because of the unhappiness of others. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, being compassionate towards the conditioned soul suffering in hellish life, suggested that Shukdev Goswami continue describing the path of liberation, which he had explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Vaishnava, when he sees the people engaging in some sinful activities, his heart only can cry. There is no sadistic pleasure he can derive in thinking, oh, नर्क जाओगे, तुम्हारा तो ये हशर होगा, यमदूत मारेंगे तुम्हारे को, ये हो. Actually, all these kind of sadistic pleasures are not a Vaishnava paradigm of life. A Mayavadi may see like that, it is up to him, but actually a Vaishnava always feels concern for the other jivas, and he is not proud that he is trying to, he has to deliver the other souls, but he is actually seeing the shelter that he has received and he is sharing. So para dukkha dukhi is very genuine sentiment of a Vaishnava. So these 5 sentiments we can have in dealing with the descriptions of the hellish planets. We don't need to see the Yamdutas to develop them. Ajamila, after getting the Yamduta darshan and the Vishnuduta darshan, we have got Vishnudutas in form of the Vaishnavas who have come, and our hellish life was already started before coming to Krishna consciousness. And the Yamdutas we can save ourselves from by not getting into any trouble. So gratitude, fear, emergency to get out through this world, to go back to Golaka, determination to do it, and then the compassion. So this is one theme which I wanted to bring out after this. And then there is the second short theme, which is on Kali Yuga, because Prabhupada quotes in the purport from 12th canto, he didn't mention the verses, but 12.3.32 mentions Dasyut Krishta Janapada, cities will be dominated by thieves, Rajanascha Praja Bhakshaha, political leaders will virtually consume the citizens. And then it's also mentioned in 12.3.39.40, Durbhiksha Karakarshita Niranne Bhutale Rajan Anavrishti Bhayatura. They will become emaciated by famine and taxation, my dear king, and will always be disturbed by fear of drought. So Prabhupada is quoting this there. So Kali Yuga is an ocean of fault. Kaler doshe nide rajan asti eko mahan guna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. So when Kali was about to start his atrocities, this is Kali Raj right now. He is the Raja of this world right now. He and his agents are working in this world, and you will see 4 regulative principles being rampantly broken. So Parikshit Maharaj, being Saragrahi, Saranga, Sara book, that beautiful verse 118.7, Nanu Dvashti Kalim Samrat Saranga Eva Sarabuk Kushalani Ashu Siddhanti Netarani Kritani. So he saw that actually Kali Yuga has certain advantages which are not there in the previous ages. So now we are discussing how Vaishnava sees Kali Yuga. First we discuss how Vaishnava sees hellish planets, means description of hellish planet. Now we are seeing how Vaishnava sees Kali Yuga. So Kali is very powerful, but there is something very beautiful about that Kali Yuga. So Vaishnava knows that actually if a person performs activities in the mind only, he thinks about a good activity, a pious activity or a spiritual activity, that itself brings benefit. And unless something wrong is committed on the physical platform or the verbal platform, it does not lead to reaction. So this is a great advantage. And the most important advantage is that you chant Hare Krishna and you can go back to Godhead. So Prabhupada purport is very beautiful there also, that Vaishnava takes advantage without seeing the faults in that person. He takes advantage. So Parikshit Maharaj is actually using all the money, because gold also has Kali, if you hoard gold. So he used all the gold for Sankirtan propagation, and thus counteracted Kali by Sankirtan also, and gold is also not there for Kali to reside. So he took the advantage of Kali and he stopped all the 4 eggs to be breaking of 4 eggs by just keeping everyone experience the taste of Harinam. So 2 things Prabhupada mentions in that purport, Harinam and Srimad Bhagavatam, the glory of name and holy fame of the Lord. Holy name and holy fame, these 2 more and more they are propagated, then Kali is counteracted. So when we see Kali Yuga acting very strongly, we should know that we have to increase the Sankirtan program. So we should reminisce on our fortune, great fortune, seeing that there is a lot of faults in Kali Yuga, but there is these wonderful advantages. And we should also see the special gift of Lord Chaitanya, which is only available in this Yuga, especially in this Kali Yuga, because only in one day of Brahma, one time Lord Chaitanya comes. But he has come and he is ready to deliver all the most fallen souls, the highest, Madhure Dham of Vrindavan. So that is very inconceivable. When Lord Nityanand Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya delivered Jagai Madai, so when they delivered Jagai Madai, so Chitragupta told Yamraj that this has happened. He said, please tell me what has happened, tell me what is their account. And when he told what is the account, he said, actually we had so many servants putting on the record of these fellows, they had got frustrated and given up writing record. They have lost all hope. They can't write that speed at what they are doing sinful activity. Our account books are filled. But now Lord Chaitanya in a moment has wrapped it up and thrown it into the ocean, Karnataka ocean. So it's over. So Yamaraj fainted. It takes something to make Yamaraj faint actually. So Yamaraj fainted in ecstasy. And Shivji also lost, he started dancing and his clothes fell off, in ecstasy. And then eventually, Yamaraj actually gets up in Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari! So, we hear so much about the hellish planet. It should only bring more and more gratitude that how Lord Chaitanya has saved us actually. This mercy was not available. Kali Yuga Nashana, Kali Bhaya Nashana, Kali Yuga Pavana, Si Sachinandana Gao He. Okay, I am. Okay. You want to sing? Kali Yuga Nashana, Kali Bhaya Nashana, Kali Yuga Pavana, Si Sachinandana Gao He. I don't know the song fully. So, Jagai Madai. So, this is also talking about hellish planet, what they would have received actually, and God knows what they would have received, because even they were not able to keep track actually, because there was so much of problems. So, Jagai Madai were delivered within a moment. But again, here also Lord Chaitanya, after delivering them, he said, sin no more. So, there is a responsibility after deliverance. And that responsibility is lying on the jiva who is delivered. And after that, Lord Chaitanya came, but how many people understood Lord Chaitanya after that? Krishna came, told Sarva Dharman Prateje, people didn't understand. Lord Chaitanya came, but after Lord Chaitanya came, so many years passed, but the movement was not taking full speed actually. So only when the great personalities like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur took the map, he made the blueprint for preaching movement, and eventually Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati brought it in a practical reality as Gaudiya Math, and what failed in Gaudiya Math, Srila Prabhupada brought reality in ISKCON. So Srila Prabhupada, the Senapati Bhakta, came, and how fortunate are we that we are born after Srila Prabhupada was. Of course, we were born before also, maybe in many bodies, but at least we are born here. And Srila Prabhupada also, we are not like after Srila Prabhupada, the next generation had to deal with a lot of unstable situations of ISKCON. Now it's like all stabilized and made wonderful, and then we are trying to move into a life where so much wonderful systems and simple, we can actually very happily practice our devotion service in the association of Vaishnavas. So we have got association of, we have got such a nice, how can we be born in this generation only? This is the best, because we are getting to see Prabhupada disciples also. Because all future generation will never see Prabhupada disciples who directly dealt with Prabhupada. So we somehow got birth after Lord Chaitanya. In one day of Brahma, one time only Lord Chaitanya comes. In that also after Prabhupada, in that also after the first generation. In this generation only we are like, it's super, you should, thoda sapna dekh raha hu kya, And then that also in the association of wonderful, well-trained devotees, surrounded by devotees who are looking for going back to Godhead in this very lifetime, So it's amazing how we are actually fixed, getting this rare, in this entire creation, this is the most opulent place actually, where we are sitting, because even the demigods want to take birth in Bharatvarsha. Bharatvarsha mein bhi bahut Kaliyuga chal raha hai, lekin Bharatvarsha mein, being in a abode of Srila Prabhupada and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, discussing the glories of the Lord, it's amazing among the devotees. So, water can be the enemy of the boat or the friend of the boat. So, Kaliyuga problems are very many. But one should know that water, if goes into the boat, then it drowns the boat. But you see that small boat, water is outside the boat, so it is able to go across also. So the point is, if we don't let the problems come into our mental existence and spiritual existence, then we can use that so much danger is there all over, so better get out of this matter world, So we can use the same difficult situation of this Kali Yuga to understand that I should make it back to Godhead in this very lifetime, because there is nothing to look back to, Imagine in Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, there was still a lot of peace and all, but here, what is peace, So there is no peace only in this world. There is no sanity. Peace to baad mein aayega, sanity nahi hai. People are doing crazy things in the outside world. If you hear the kind of counseling problems which are coming now are so difficult that you have to get new understanding of the Shastra too. The Shastra remains same, but how to apply it in the practical situation, it's so difficult. So chant holy name, Baba. I don't know what is going to, the practical action is difficult, but just one practical action is chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. So in Kali Yuga, the Varnashram system will have so much of tampering. People will just break so many rules. So it's very important that we are able to see the good side of it, that we should understand that I have to make back to Godhead. Idhar kuch nahi hai. Dukkhalyam ashashvatam has become very intense. So then we can see it as a friend, rather than becoming very ये चल रहा है वो चल रहा है. Sometimes people discuss Kali Yuga problems like they make a Kali Yuga Samhita only, So we should get strength from the Harinam program. And Prabhupada gives example of rain is everywhere, but we should open the umbrella, So Prabhupada in this lecture he saying, so Maharaj Parikshit, when he saw that the principles of Kali Yuga, meaning adulteration, prostitution, animal killing, drinking, intoxication, gambling, these things are coming gradually. Because the age of Kali, this is Kali Yuga. Just like before winter, there is some wind, very cold. One can understand now winter is approaching. So of course you cannot stop winter, but you be careful so that you may not catch cold, coughing. You dress yourself nicely, have warm clothes. You cannot. It is no use fighting with the seasonal changes. So it's Kali Yuga season, So that is not possible. Just like it is raining, so it is raining also, So just like it is raining, it is no use to fight with the cloud and rain and stop it. That is not possible. But you can take a raincoat, umbrella, so that you may not be affected. That is your business. So Kali Yuga has entered all over the world. Not now, 5,000 years back, during the time of Maharaj Parikshit. Gradually people are degrading only on these principles. Illicit sex, animal slaughter, intoxication, gambling. These are the 4 pillars of platform of Kali. So one should know, I have to open my umbrella, remain protected by chanting the holy names, taking association of devotees very seriously, and go back to Godhead. So, and one of the most important things that a Vaishnava sees in Kali Yuga is that everyone and everything should be engaged in the Sankirtan program, as Parikshit did, Prabhupada did. So, I read certain Vyaspuja offerings of Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj to Srila Prabhupada, and I have just put something which is dealing with Kali. So this is our boat. Our boat is special one. Srila Prabhupada's Hare Krishna Sankirtan boat. So it is actually sending out boats to save more conditioned souls. So you will see what Prabhupada has done. Due to Krishna's personal request, you came to rescue the fallen souls from this matter world and take them back home, back to Godhead. You accomplished that mission perfectly, and before leaving this planet made a perfect arrangement through your ISKCON to continue that mission. It is such a difficult task in this age of Kali. That is the age of Adharma, and Kali is the ruler of this age. With the help of sin and his army consisting of soldiers like lust, greed and anger, he has already conquered the entire world. Practically everyone has become his loyal subject. However, you came like a valiant knight and waged a war against him. Alone you stood against the entire world. Who will ever dare to do such a thing? In Dwapar Yuga, Krishna did that when he stood up against Kamsa, but Balram was with him. You, however, started your war alone against the formidable army of Kali. You went right into the heart of the enemy camp and challenged your enemy to come out and fight. You are the greatest hero of all time, Srila Prabhupada. Right in front of Kali's eyes, you opened the door of his prison, and not only did you rescue his prisoners, but recruited them to form your army to fight against Kali. Srila Prabhupada ki. When you were here, this fight was fun for us. Just as a soldier feels confident under an expert general, or son when he is holding his father's hand, we felt absolutely confident. But now that you have entrusted us with the responsibility of leading the battle, can I take 5 minutes? Maybe 3 minutes. 3 minutes. But now that you have entrusted us with the responsibility of leading the battle, although we know that you are there with us and guiding us, because you are invisible to our material eyes, we feel afraid. If in your apparent absence, Kali's onslaught have become extremely severe. However, so far we have been able to thwart them all, although sometimes there were many casualties. In the beginning, we were so unprepared that when attacked, we almost lost the battle. So that is what is post Srila Prabhupada period actually. However, by your mercy, finally we won. When Kali is defeated, he does not give up. Endlessly he keeps launching his attacks, and each successive attack becomes stronger than the previous one. But Srila Prabhupada, your army is getting stronger, and your soldiers are becoming more expert. You gave us a secret of how to become strong. You said, your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate with each other. We are realizing how this is actually the means to defeat Kali. You also warned us that no one will be able to destroy this movement from outside. It is only from within that it can be destroyed. Within means internal conflicts among devotees. That is the most deadly attack of Kali. He tries to cause dissension among devotees. Knowing well that he will not be able to defeat the devotees, he uses the devotees to destroy each other. Srila Prabhupada, now we are becoming aware that whenever there is a cause of dissension, we should immediately see it as an attack of Kali. So when dissension comes, instead of blaming the other devotee, understand Kali is dancing actually. So don't blame him, but understand Kali has to be fought against, and we are together, we are on one side. Let's not kill each other on the same side of the army. We are fighting that, imagine this, we fight and we shoot each other down, then we are further alone in the fight with Kali. So he's saying, we have become aware that whenever there is a cause of dissension, we should immediately see it as attack of Kali and strengthen our defense by becoming united. Srila Prabhupada, we do not want to underestimate our enemy. However, I want to inform you that so far we have been able to withstand all attacks. Although each successive attack of the enemy is getting more severe, our unity is consequently increasing, as is our love for you. Therefore, now he says a very bold statement. Therefore, I pray that these attacks become extremely severe, so that our love for you can blossom fully through our unity. This is, a great soul can speak like this. Then Kali will admit his total defeat and fall down at your lotus feet, just as he did 5,000 years ago in front of Parikshit Maharaj. That will be the best way to glorify you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. There's one more. This is also saying similar thing, but important message he says. We learned from you that ISKCON is not different from you, and that by serving ISKCON we serve you. You were always so concerned about the welfare of ISKCON and asked all your disciples to protect and maintain ISKCON. You warned us that it is only from within that ISKCON can be destroyed. No one will be able to do anything to ISKCON from outside. You saw how your spiritual master's organization broke down due to some mistake. But still, recognizing ISKCON as his greatest enemy, Kali started his attack soon after your disappearance. Knowing well that he would not be able to enter ISKCON from the outside, he made his way into the hearts of some of the leading devotees and convinced them that since you were gone, they should take over your position. One of them even told me once, what is so special about Prabhupada spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world? I am also preaching around the world. Thus Kali provoked them to compete with you and set them for the most dangerous competition among themselves. Soon the fire of their conflict would have engulfed the entire ISKCON, but their contamination became exposed in the light of ISKCON's purity. Although saved from the greatest danger, ISKCON was completely unprepared for this attack. An enormous damage was done. Indeed, your ISKCON was about to crumble, but the spirit of unity among your loyal devotees saved ISKCON from the disaster. Frustrated, Kali then prepared another attack.
He possessed some motivated souls and propagated the theory that no one is qualified to become a guru. And therefore you are the only guru in ISKCON and everyone should become initiated by you. This theory gained a lot of popularity because the faith of most of the devotees had become weak due to the fall down of so many gurus, and they swallowed this tempting bait of Kali. Your ISKCON started to rock again in the turbulent ocean of doubt, but your loyal followers remained united and brought the situation under control. Once again Kali was defeated. I know in spite of being defeated repeatedly, Kali will keep on launching his attacks against his arch enemy ISKCON. Arch enemy means most prominent enemy. But your valiant soldiers will defeat him without difficulty as long as they remain together and fight with the spirit of unity. Through these attacks their faith will be tested, and after each victory their conviction in you will become stronger. This is also your divine arrangement to help us make spiritual progress. 14 years ago in Vrindavan I thought that you had left us, but now I am convinced that you are still with us, guiding us towards our spiritual goal. Although I cannot see you, I can hear your voice. Have faith in me and I will take you back to Krishna ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If I spoke something improper, please forgive me. Hare Krishna.